Welcome to the MTR Network. We are back. We are not recording on a Super Tuesday because life got away from us. But we are back to discuss Season 4, Episode 3 of Supergirl, Man of Steel. I'm Shanna. I'm here with the Doctor.
Hello.
And we are really, really excited to discuss this episode, actually. It was kind of killing both of us that life got in the way because we got thoughts. So I'll start with you. What did you think of this week's episode?
Okay, so between the folks over at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., those writers, and these writers, no fucks given. Just no fucks given with the social commentary. They're like, the world's fucked up, and we're going to talk about it. And you're going to get it either way, and I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Like, they literally looked into the camera like they were on The Office. They were like, oh, my God. Like... They're like, these roaches. That's how we say nigger on this show. The one thing I will say about this episode that gave me pause is I think for those of us who get it and understand the metaphor, and I hope that by season 4 of this show, if you're still watching, you're somebody who gets what the show is trying to do. I think for those of us who get it, it's very clear what the metaphor is and what side of the argument the show falls on. But I also thought, if you're somebody who doesn't get it,
why are you still watching?
Yeah, why are you still watching? But like, the show does a very good job of showing you how somebody becomes radicalized. And there's moments in here where if you're one of those people who doesn't get it, if you're like a Richard Spencer, you know, I'm trying to soften the image of the alt-right type of person, you know, or I'm just using logic type of person, you could easily be like, well, that makes perfect sense why he hates those aliens.
Well, and it's funny because Agent Liberty, a.k.a. Professor Lockwood, started off as someone who was preaching tolerance and equality. And we see his slow decline. And what I put in the show notes on the website, I said, you know, it shows how a person's character is revealed by the hardships around them, who they really are.
Yes.
It's not necessarily who they present. He was talking a good game, but when the chips, you know, when the things got tough, he easily slipped into the teachings of his father. At the same time, I appreciate that it showed us how our villains become villains. It also showed us that our heroes aren't always heroes.
Yes. And that is really what I want to talk about, because when John...
Oh, my God.
There were 2 John moments where I was like, oh, baby, no. The first was after the fight broke out between the steel workers and the alien who had the spikes, the defense mechanism with the spikes. And he was just like talking. And mind you, this man has been hurt. Like, he has been hurt. And John is putting bandages on him or whatever. And he's all like, well, aren't you going to do something about that guy? And he's like, oh, you mean the guy just using his defense mechanism? And then kind of just whooshes away without giving any more explanation.
And he kind of dropped a line, making it seem like you need to be glad that Supergirl didn't hem you up. And he was like, I was shot and I was actually trying to defuse the situation. What do you mean I should be glad?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the innocent party here.
I was like, John, oh, you
on death, not reading the room.
You're missing it, not reading the room. And then the second time he does not read the room is when Martian Manhunter comes fighting. The Daxamites? Was this the Daxamites they were fighting? And totally destroys Lockwood's house.
And before he leaves, like, you're okay now.
Yeah, they're
and
like,
just as the house burns in flames, he's like, dude, you couldn't stay an extra 5 minutes and put the fire that you caused out? What?
he's all like very like superhero, like, it's okay, you're fine. And then like whoosh it. It's like what's the Dr. Horrible sing-along blog? Captain Hammer, where he just like destroys everything. He's like, it's okay, citizens, everything's fine.
And then, good point. Acts of alien violence not covered by the insurance plan.
So, and this is where we see the little moments where, not that they fail, but that
that John thing was a failure.
Yeah. But there was an opportunity to do more. And I think what we see is that if you are a powerful person who takes advantage of the fact that the government and the agencies that are supposed to help people are not doing their job, where it's easier to blame the people next to you who seem to be doing better than you, rather than to blame the government and the agencies that are failing you.
Yeah.
And so, Lena had the moment where he came to her and he was like, my father has lost your contract. He needs this. He's been working for you for years. Like, what is this about? And Lena's just like, well, he needs to modernize. Okay. Are banks subsidizing loans for businesses that want to modernize now that there's this new technology? No, he doesn't have the capital to do that. He goes to Jimmy and he's like, how come you're not writing about people who are suffering because of these alien attacks? And Jimmy's just kind of like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that you're having a tough time. And he's like, it's not just him. And just as much as you're doing articles about how great Supergirl is, you could also be doing articles about, how, like, all these different aliens, basically aliens showed up, or people found out that aliens have already been living here, and it's like you just have to accept it. And I'm not saying that people are justified in not accepting that. I'm saying you also have to educate people, because what it sounds like is people have been secretly living amongst us, and we're just supposed to deal. So in that respect, I get it. It's no excuse for the hate and the reaction and the violence, but I get the sentiment, the feeling, the fear. So,
and it devolved so rapidly. It devolved so rapidly, and it hit his job. And he worked in education. So when, of course, it comes out that at first the administrator is like, no, she's running the corporate line. And then when it happens to her, she slips very easily into her own level of bigotry. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I get it now.
I get why you hated them roaches.
Really? So.
Oh, my God. Can we talk about the moment in the class?
Listen, when you know what cracked me up about it is everybody's getting pissed, and that brother's like, I'm trying to keep up. I can't find it.
He's like, is this chapter 3? Is this one of those little insert things? Is this figure 4.8?
More importantly, is this going to be on the test? Do I need to stay here for this?
I really wanted that brother this was the part where I was like, why didn't anybody speak up? When he said, for years, people of all complexions have been coming to this country and finding ways to assimilate and succeed. And I was like, I would have been the one person in my class, like, all complexions, sir?
Well, actually,
I get what he was trying to do. Like, we're all human. We figured it out. And now these aliens are coming in. He's trying to pull in everybody. But I would have been like that one person in the class, like, sir, that's actually not how history works.
What I will say is what was scary was the argument he was making about progress. Mm-hmm. I was listening to that argument. I was like, I know this is steeped in bigotry, but fuck if it doesn't make sense. And that is what's scary about this soft pedal bullshit that some of these groups were trying to pull. I was about to say Richard Myers, the Richard Spencers and stuff like that, until he couldn't hide what it really was anymore.
Yes.
Is it faulty logic? Is it bigoted logic? Yes. But is it a logical argument? Sadly, it is.
Yeah, that's what they always do. They always start with something where you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense. And then it's like...
Then the next, you saying Heil Hitler and wondering how the fuck you got there.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, and we talked about this before when we were talking about... I think we were just in general talking about how it annoys me on these shows when you see people of color falling into it. But that's how they get these men of color who are part of the Proud Boys and part of the alt-right and all of that, because they've managed to convince them that if it's really weird to me when they manage to do it to Latinos.
Honestly, yes.
So they're like, these immigrants came and took your jobs, and they're the reason why you can't find jobs, and they're the reason why you're suffering, or they're the reason, women and their feminism are the reason why you can't get sex, and like all this other stuff. It's just everybody else's fault why you can't do anything. I've actually seen it with the Latino thing with a lot of like South American immigrants, where it's like, oh, you're different. You came here the right way. And these Mexicans are just coming here illegally. So you're wrong. Like, they're wrong. They're taking the jobs that you would have had. Like,
yeah.
It's just so infuriating because, again, I get the sentiment. I get the fear. But like you said, people reveal themselves when they're in hard times. And instead of trying to figure out how society isn't meeting the need, you instead try to find who you can scapegoat.
Because, let's talk about it. The father could have diversified, but his pride and his bigotry wouldn't let him. Mm-hmm. Lena was the only person, I will say, this episode that was stable in her character. Like everybody else, the way they were reacting to folks, I'm like, oh my God, John. Oh my God, Jimmy. Oh my God, Kara. Oh my God, Alex. What are we doing? That was me the whole episode. Lena is a businesswoman, and she wasn't dismissive. She said, no, if he can get a contract, we'd be more than willing to continue working with him. She wasn't blowing him off, but it's not her job to do the research he has to do. His father was not willing, even if he could qualify, to do that research and engage in this stuff because his bigotry was just too hard.
Yeah, he was like, we don't need this alien stuff.
And that's what happens in society. It's like, instead of doing the work yourself, you want the work done for you. And let's talk about it. That's the legacy of, that's the legacy of slavery. Mm-hmm. You're so willing to have someone do it for you for free, where you don't have to put in the work and effort. And now that suddenly you got to put in some work and effort, and it's a problem.
Or suddenly you have to compete with those people that you never had to compete with before because they were denied the opportunities to compete with you.
Mm-hmm.
After this actor, his name is Xander Berkeley. Oh, he's from Brooklyn.
Gregory from The Walking Dead. I need you to stop with. In a minute, I'm just gonna say, you know what? He ain't acting. This is just who this man is.
Yeah, I need him to diversify his resume.
He played shit in everything he's in.
Oh my God. Like, I was just already, because of Walking Dead, I knew that I just wasn't going to like him. He showed up on screen. Like, I knew he wasn't going to be ain't shit from the minute he showed up. And he just proved me right at every turn. Like, opening scene, just bigotry. Just right off the bat. Oh, he was the best. And then when he died in that, in the steel mill, I was just kind of like, ain't nobody told him to be in there. Ain't that shit closed?
No, he said he wanted to die in there. I'm like, okay, bye.
Yeah. Like, even the opening when it was like, oh, he's going to lose his contract. I was like, y'all expect me to feel bad for Gregory's whole racist ass. I don't care. And I love the wife. The wife actually was my homegirl because she, like, from the beginning, you could tell that it's that situation where it's like, this is my husband's dad. Just got to put up with him. He's old. He'll probably die soon.
I know.
She did not like
my
him.
husband's breadwinner, so it's not like I can just bounce.
Yeah, she's like, we got a child together. So, I mean, at least until the kid's 18, I can't say shit. Oh, she was the best. My favorite also in that John scene with when the house burns down was at first it was like the bike was on fire and the kid was like, my bike, and I was like, whatever, a bike can be replaced. And then like 2 seconds later their house was burning down and I was like, okay, kid, I get it.
Wow.
This whole episode was jokes. Like as serious as it was. There were
has
some moments.
Ridiculous moments, man. Some ridiculous moments.
Oh my God. Kara. So.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Here's the thing. Kara is our prime example of 53%. This is not the America I know. And like all of that. But when she had to defend the alien girl in the bar, when he came up to her and was like, you're the reason I got fired. I'm like, so Kara really acted surprised that people were hateful about aliens. And I'm like, you have experienced this, boo. You have seen this firsthand. But her privilege allows her to believe that that guy is a one-off.
Yep.
This doesn't happen all the time. And moving forward, if she wakes up, well, she will because the show's named after her. But
I get a message to Clark to stay his ass at Argo.
Exactly. So, when she wakes up, I really want her to really think long and hard about her privilege. I hope that's like the second half of the season is Kara processing her privilege. Because this is ridiculous.
She really does need to do it.
Oh, that alien girl too stood her ground. I was like,
I loved her. I was like, go on, girl, tell them about themselves. Come through.
And I love it too, because he comes up to her like, you're the reason I got fired. Is it? She's like, actually, I didn't report you, but I'm sure somebody did because you're on one right now. It's like, how about that? So that's kind of like the nuts and bolts of the episode. And what do you...
I feel like it's the best. I feel like it's one of the best episodes of the Arrowverse show to address contemporary issues, period.
Yes.
Period.
And even though the metaphor is like right there and you cannot miss it, it doesn't feel heavy-handed.
At all.
At all. It's just it's a really great villain origin story on top of being super timely, super on point to what's happening in the world right now. I mean, the fact that episode came out on Sunday after we had a week of racialized, attacks in this country because of white men who have been radicalized by the alt-right and by white supremacy. Like, I know they did not plan it that way, but the timeliness of it.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. What are you looking forward to, expecting, moving forward?
Well, it's interesting because we thought Agent Liberty was the mastermind. Turns out he's just the figurehead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there's really a mastermind. Mercy is just out, and her Otis are just out of control.
It looks like they're really there like for chaos in a way.
Yeah, chaos theory. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, and then I'm wondering because our Kara is affected, and it's the same dispersal thing that made Earth uninhabitable for Mon-El. So I'm wondering about the other Kara, the one somewhere in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
So, how is she being affected by this? Last time we saw her, she was underground, so maybe she isn't being affected by this. Like, we don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it gets into everything, though. Stormwater, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Although, did they really explain how Mon-El was then later to come back last season?
Because technically he lived like a ton of years in the future, and they fixed it.
Oh, so then Brainy's here. Can't he figure out how to fix it?
True. How come Brainy acting brand new?
Because I think Brainy's freaking out as much as Brainy is able to freak out.
Brainy stays shook. He's still shook after last week. He's like, he can't go get no more pizza. He doesn't know what to do himself. Oh, I love him. All right, let's get into feedback.
I'm going to start with the email that we got from Hiroja. And guys, most of this episode is probably going to be feedback because you guys had some thoughts, just like we did. So, hey, it's me, Hiroja. It's been a while, and these are my thoughts. Look, I'm loving this season so far and cannot wait to see all the things they have in store for us, especially the Red Sun story they have been teasing us with this season. I do agree with you guys that the show has earned its political commentary storylines this year and has really begun to pull from the mythos and storylines of the show. Particularly, people calling Kara out on her privilege more so than before on the show. That being said, I have some major issues with this episode. I do like me some Sam Whitmer. Yes, Jesus. Call me. Anyway, I am looking at the showrunners and show writers on this one. People are racist. People are racist. People are racist. People are racist. They do not need some sob story of losing family and property to, quote, turn racist. I didn't get the sense that that's what it was, though. I get where some people may have felt like the episode went that way, and people will interpret it that way. But if you really look at what was happening, we were seeing, like I said, what hardship makes your character come to light. Mm-hmm. It doesn't turn you anything. It reveals who you are. And this hardship revealed that as good a game as he talked and as politically correct as he was, at his heart, he was more than willing to devolve into bigotry when things weren't going well for him, which is exactly what happened.
Yep.
He said, being racist is not like turning into a vampire or a werewolf. You don't just catch a case of the racism, and that is need to cure some tussin to get it all out. Yes, I know his dad was racist and supposed show some... she said stop with the sympathetic racist. I didn't think they portrayed him as sympathetic. Do you?
I like that. Like I said, if you're someone who doesn't get it, I wonder about that. But I think it's a thing of, I'm always wary of people who say, well, my dad or I grew up in a racist household and I understand that that's wrong. So I'm wary of that because I feel like unless you're actively and constantly kind of fighting that, some of that has sunk in. Some of it has seeped into who you are. So I think it's like what you said is like, he already had that from his dad as part of his consciousness. So it was very easy for him to revert to that the minute things were hard. Because he's a professor. I did love that scene with him and his dad. It was like the one time I didn't think, actually his dad was kind of shit in that scene. But they played it very well. You got the father-son of it all. But when he's like, I sent you to that school and you just came back like that. So I very much got the sense of, he's like, I'm a professor. I'm above that. My dad might be this way, but I'm not that way because I'm educated. But then it's like when all that education, what he had scraped together to move up in the world failed him. That's what he fell back on because that was what he was conditioned to fall back on.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing, racists do not quote Ben Franklin. They use Jefferson. I'm sure some of them quote Ben Franklin.
Ben Franklin also... Actually, I'm thinking if you're a history professor, you're smart enough to use Franklin.
You're gonna run the gamut. Yeah, you're gonna run the gamut.
Yeah.
And enough with the negative. How awesome is that suit? Listen, that was the suit we saw in the trailer. When is Lena going to know? I'm kind of in the mindset she's been knowing. That's what we've been saying. Just because I binged the show again before watching season 4, are we ever going to talk about Alex's drinking? It hasn't come up this season, and I don't know if the promotion is kind of centered or settled her. Could be. So, yeah. Thanks, Roja, for writing.
All right.
Do you have it?
Yeah. I do. We'll start with the feedback on the website. You want to go back and forth? Oh, actually, can you check the...
Is it from the website?
Yeah, can you check the website? I'm checking the Facebook group.
Start you know what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Latoya R says, Lena needs to find something that makes Kara immune to kryptonite because I'm tired. It's the one thing that can hurt her, and she's never prepared for it. Watching the radicalization of the professor hit a little too close to home. On the Lena Kara kryptonite thing, I think the problem is that Lena's still kind of lightweight, doesn't like Supergirl. I like that Alex brought it up.
There's that, but there's also the fact that remember, Mercy broke into Elcor, and Lena still has some on hand. So it's not like it's just floating around in the city and you can just grab it up. Yeah. She made a concerted effort to get it out of Elcor.
And also, Lena made a concerted effort to keep some on hand. Yeah. Because her thing is, what if there are more aliens like Kara and they're not good? Or what if Supergirl goes bad? So, like, I get it where you're like, okay, there should be just some, like, immunity to kryptonite, but also people are smart. They're like, what if? Because then we really can't fight her.
The other thing is this. You asked what I was looking forward to, how they're going to explain Kara's absence at Catco.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because she can't walk to work in that suit.
Yeah. And maybe, just maybe, Lena will figure out that they're the same person. Because I still don't understand how she has it. It's driving me crazy. Okay. Marion says, the writers for Supergirls are on it. These stupid mega make Earth great again followers.
That's a good one.
That's actually really good. You get attacked after provoking someone, then want to play victim. Shaking my head. I hope Kara can get the upper hand soon on Agent Liberty because we know hate can grow like a wildfire. Yeah. And I think they did a really good job also of showing us how it is... The reason he's so effective is not necessarily strength. It's his ability to talk. It's how charismatic he is as a professor. Do you know that was why homeboy was like, is this going to be on the test? Because he just went completely off textbook.
Look, all I'm saying is, if I didn't know that he was a racist, he could get it. That's all I'm saying.
That you don't count. You already think Sam Witwer.
I don't.
Because you already think Sam Witwer is hot.
Oh.
Okay. Joseph says, this episode was so good, but it was definitely the birth of a villain. It showed how one bad event could completely change a person's entire belief system. Again, I don't necessarily think, I think it's always in there.
It reveals it. It reveals your hardship, reveals your character.
This was ripped straight from the headlines, and they made Sam Witwer look eerily like one of those Charlottesville ringleaders. I'm purposefully not saying his name because it sickens me. Radicalization is real, and we saw it in full effect in this episode. Yes. Okay, next up, Sharad B says, F that professor. Supergirl writers are hella woke this season, liking the angle of this season, looking forward to Kara, Agent Liberty fight soon. True. They are. I don't know who is in the writer's room right now, but is this a new team? Is this the team that we've always had and they're just getting better? I don't know.
I don't know, but hats off to you. Love ya. Keep it up.
They're so great. It's so good right now. Is this the post-Kreisberg effect? I don't know what this is.
But to be fair, I feel like Supergirl was the least affected by Kreisberg.
True.
When we look at the last 3 seasons, I think he had the least hand in that, which is, yes, it's a good thing.
Yes. Gerard, who has 2 comments. They are showing their whole entire ass this season, and I'm here for it. I'm putting in the claps because I'm just assuming they're there. I bet anyone who has a swing vote mentality to watch the first 3 episodes of this show and just insert nigga for Roach, and you have threaded the needle perfectly. And why does Xander Berkeley always play the perfect version of that white guy who is owed all of the punches?
Thank you, Xander. Come on, dude.
Honestly, he's just good at that level of lowliness that makes me cringe. And Ben's descent into total hatred and bigotry was so well done. They even managed to tie in season 1's Sailor Moon speech from Kara when she solves Project Myriad with the power of love. I did cackle at that. I love it. He's sitting there.
This bitch.
It was so funny because that was kind of the same way I felt when we watched that episode. So I was like, I'm not technically mad at him for his reaction because this is some bullshit.
It's the only time I can agree with Xander Berkeley in this episode. We all were like, this bitch, what is she doing?
Oh my gosh. So I was looking while I was reading. I was looking up the writers for this episode. Their names are Rob Wright and Derek Simon, which both sound like white guy names to me. And they don't have pictures of them. I was like I would be really pleasantly pleased if 2 white men wrote this episode. So,
same.
Hats off to you, Derek and Rob. Send us your pictures so we know what you look like.
And if you are white, please continue to educate your friends and your family.
Yes, please do not use metaphors and just tell your friends to stop.
Gather your people.
Gerard, okay. Just wonderfully done. I'm rambling. Thank you 2 for all the great work on this show, Black Lightning and Cloak and Dagger. Take care. Thank you. Oh, and then this was a good one too. So he followed up with, and side note, y'all see how they retconned Jimmy into doing actual work at Catco?
The shade.
He went from being the vigilante Tommy from Martin to top dog with the stroke of that pen. Okay, sorry, I'm done. Love y'all. Oh, we love you too. That was
not wrong. They really did retcon him like he'd been working all this time. We know good and damn well he ain't been working.
You ain't got no job, Jimmy. Especially not last season. Last season, Jimmy's ass was running around in that damn suit, not doing a damn thing at Catco. Okay, and Amani, they're all the way in their bag this season. That is so true. I was just waiting for the professor to have a red hat under that golden mask. You imagine he'd have pulled off that metal mask and had a MAGA hat underneath. Then a Supergirl would have really looked directly at the camera and been like, really? Oh, finally caught up with the season. Blame Supergirl and Doctor Who for moving to Sundays, but they're setting the scene for President Luthor, and I'm here for it. I did not think of President Luthor, but that would be cool.
They do seem like they're telegraphing that they're going to bring him on.
Yeah. Oh, God. Could you imagine? Ooh, do you think he'd date Rona Mitra?
I hope not. I hate her. You deserve better, Lex. You deserve better.
And I don't think they're going to do this, but I just really feel like the only person who I will accept playing Lex Luthor on television is Michael Rosenblum.
Yes.
Like
he was perfect.
He was so good. Like, I'm still upset they didn't do him for the movies. Like, I get why, but if I had to choose between Jesse Eisenberg and Michael Rosenblum.
You had Lex right there. You may not have appreciated Smallville, but damn it, if you couldn't appreciate that Lex portrayal, come on.
Mm-hmm. He was great. He was so good at it. Yeah. So to me, that would be the ultimate. I don't know if he's trying to come back to another Superman, Supergirl type show, but yeah, that to me would be everything.
For years, he's been doing just a lot of voiceover work. So,
I mean, I think he still looks good.
Oh, girl, yeah.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I just looked up his picture. I'm like, yes.
Like some so that when I see him with hair, I'm like, so can we shave? You look fine with hair, but you are fine as fuck without it.
He's like, ma'am, I'm not indulging in your fetishes.
Do it for the culture. Do it for the culture.
Horrible. Oh my God, he voices the Flash in the Lego DC Supervillains video game.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Okay. The writers hit their stride last season, and I like just being able to trust them and go for the ride. But I do need them to get more Black women in the cast because I'm tired of these white girls reading Jimmy and blowing off John. Let's go. I agree. The only Black woman that we've had is Megan, and then we only have her for a season.
Oh, dang. You just stepped on my pun.
Oh, sorry. Say that again.
I just said she's Megan. It was bad, I know.
That was actually really good.
I feel like I had to vindicate you for missing that Black Lightning pun.
I love a pun.
Oh my God, I needed to laugh. I'm so glad we were finally able to do this.
Same. Yeah, they do. I don't know. We definitely the female side of this show is definitely decidedly white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it could just use.
But isn't that just the way in popular entertainment anymore?
True. Although, I mean, the Flash over here just decided that they were just going to up all the Black women to series regulars. So there is that. I don't know. Turns. Yeah. On Arrow, it's the same way. They just go in and out, the Black women. They never stick around too long. Legends. Where is Maya?
I haven't watched this season, so I don't know.
Well, we're 2 episodes in, and she's not there yet. I can tell you that much. I don't know how I feel about that.
Hey, maybe she's somewhere getting her lace front right. I don't know.
That was cold.
But what's a lie?
Horrible. Do we have anything on the website?
Nope. Right. I already looked.
Okay. Thank you all so much for bearing with us. And honestly, we're just here because we like to crack jokes and talk about this show, this crazy, crazy show. I love it so much. All right. Next week's episode. Sorry, I was looking up Michael Rosenblum and then got all off.
Got distracted.
I know, I got very distracted. Horrible. The next episode is called Ahisma. But I do know, because the one thing I did look up about next week's episode is that John runs into an old friend called Manchester Black. Yes, which I don't know this character. I'm probably going to look it up before next week's episode. But the actor who's playing this character is David Ajala, who... okay, sorry. So clearly you know who he is.
Continue.
He's actually really cool. We got to interview him at San Diego this year. He's going to be in that new show, Night Flyers, that is on that's based on the George R.R. Martin novella. And he's Black British dude, so you know, one of David Harewood's people.
Wow. Okay.
It's just that name, Manchester Black. I'm hoping he gets to use his like actual English accent. It sounds like it's supposed to be somebody that John used to run with. So it just all sounds really interesting. And I'm always here for more beautiful Black men gracing my screen. So
amen to
that. So we will be back here. We'll talk about this after. But hopefully we'll be back here soon to discuss next week's episode. Again, leave us feedback either on the website, on this week's post, or on Facebook. I think Chris is setting up something for Instagram, but I'm going to be honest, I don't go on Instagram that much.
Don't leave feedback on Instagram. That's too hard to track.
Yeah, that's too much. And you can always email us. So you can email me at Shanna, SHANNA, at mtrnetwork.net, or you can do movie trailer reviews at mtrnetwork.net, and it'll get to us in either way. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
What if you're more than you think you're meant to be? What if you're right? Arun Kerala is a 16-year-old Muslim boy. He is also the reincarnation of Jesus. But discovering you're a teenage godhead isn't easy. Arun goes on a journey of self-discovery. He faces villains both supernatural and societal. He is Young God. Young God is the original comic project written by MTR Network's Shanna and illustrated by artist Tara Simone. You can support this original comic story at patreon.com/younggod. Check out younggod.mtrnetwork.net for more information.